U.S. President Donald Trump hosts a tax reform industry meeting at the White House yesterday. Photo Reuters. Kevin Lamarck. U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out against media coverage of the first charges unsealed in special counsel Robert Mueller's probe of the 2016 election and distanced himself from George Papadopoulos, one of 3 campaign aides whose indictments were revealed. Few people knew the young, low-level volunteer named George, who has already proven to be a liar, Mr. Trump tweeted yesterday morning. Mr. Papadopoulos, who served as a foreign policy advisor during Mr. Trump's campaign, pleaded guilty on October 5 to lying to FBI investigators about his contacts with Russian operatives and is now cooperating with prosecutors. The fake news is working overtime. As Paul Manafort's lawyer said, there was no collusion and events mentioned took place long before he came to the campaign, Mr. Trump also said yesterday on Twitter. Laundering. Mr. Manafort, Mr. Trump's former campaign chairman, and his deputy Rick Gates were charged with crimes including money laundering and illegal foreign lobbying. They were placed under house arrest as flight risks after pleading not guilty. Mr. Trump also sought to shift focus back to his legislative agenda and to accusations against Democrats. I hope people will start to focus on our massive tax cuts for business jobs and the middle class in addition to Democrat corruption, he tweeted. Meanwhile, lawyers for Mr. Papadopoulos, Thomas Breen and Robert Stanley, said that it was in their client's best interest that they refrained from commenting on George's case. Under the plea agreement with prosecutors, he's likely to serve no more than 6 months and may avoid prison altogether. Kevin Downing, a lawyer for Mr. Manafort, also denied any wrongdoing by his client and also defended Mr. Trump. President Donald Trump was correct. There is no evidence the Trump campaign colluded with the Russia government, he said in a statement. Earlier, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders sought to distance Mr. Trump from the indictments, saying most alleged activities took place before the 2016 presidential campaign. At the same time, Mr. Trump tweeted, "Sorry, but this is years ago, before Paul Manafort was part of the Trump campaign. But why aren't crooked Hillary the Dems?" The focus footage and a photograph from 2016 have also resurfaced that show Mr. Trump sharing a stage and a meeting table with the 3 men in question. A video from the 2016 presidential campaign shows Mr. Trump walking up to a podium with daughter Ivanka, and the RNC stage behind him are Mr. Manafort and Mr. Gates. Meanwhile, a photo from Mr. Trump's Instagram account shows Mr. Papadopoulos sitting at a table with then-candidate Mr. Trump and others at what is labeled as a national security meeting in Washington that was posted on March 31, 2016. Mr. Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election revealed its first targets on Monday, with a former campaign advisor to Mr. Trump admitting he lied to the FBI about his contacts with Russians. The guilty plea by Mr. Papadopoulos marked the first criminal count that cites interactions between Trump campaign associates and Russian intermediaries during the election campaign. The developments ushered Mr. Mueller's sprawling investigation into a new phase with felony charges and possible prison sentences for key members of the Trump team. Irish Independent.